Emily Johnson always believed that silence could hide much more than just an absence of sound. Recently, the graphic design student moved into a charming yet old apartment in the small town of Maplewood, where winter seemed endless and the nights eerily quiet. Her new home carried an air of mystery, strengthened by the creaking furniture and an ornate silver-framed mirror left behind by a previous tenant nobody really remembered. Emily, curious and sharp-eyed by nature, was used to interpreting the world with detail. But in that apartment, she felt roles had reversed. She was no longer just the observer, but also the observed. In the first weeks, Emily tried to get used to her new routine. Online classes kept her busy during the day, and the long nights led her to seek comfort in small rituals, a hot cup of tea, soft background music, and mystery novels. Yet something felt off, especially when the coldest hours of the night brought an odd urge to walk past the old mirror in the hallway. At first, she saw only her own tired reflection, but over time, she noticed strange changes, unexpected shadows, or that fleeting feeling of another presence just beyond her sight. Days blended into each other as Emily wandered through foggy mornings and sleepless nights. Video chats with friends brought little comfort. All of them suggested her imagination was simply running wild. Still, she couldn't shake the growing uneasiness that returned each and every night. It was as if the mirror called to her, tempting her with a mystery too strong to ignore. The bitter cold of Maplewood only added to the suspense, turning Emily's apartment into the perfect stage for an experience that would forever change the way she saw her own reflection and whatever might be lurking just beyond the glass. Emily Johnson always found reasons to distract herself during the early hours of the morning. The dim lights of the apartment cast tangled shadows on the old walls, and with nothing but silence outside, each creak from the heater sounded like thunder. On one such night, after finishing a college project, she wandered sleepily to the kitchen for a glass of water. Passing by the hallway, her eyes were drawn to the silver-framed mirror, which seemed to reflect more than just the living room behind her. It gave off a mysterious glow, a different energy than she was used to. She was never afraid of old objects, nor was she easily swayed by rumors of haunted houses. Still, that night, Emily noticed that her own image in the mirror seemed to deliver an unsettling signal, as if beneath the glass there was another layer of vibrant silence. The digital clock read 2:18 a.m., and the only light came from the cold half-darkness filtering through the curtains. A shiver, sudden and inexplicable, ran down her spine, a shiver often felt before a storm, and she found herself staring at her own face in the mirror, searching for any sign of normalcy. For several seconds, Emily could have sworn she saw a subtle movement in the corner of the mirror, something that did not correspond to any of her actions. Maybe it was just the distorted reflection of streetlights, or maybe it was her mind inventing stories for ordinary events. Still, an unusual urge made her step closer, pressing her fingernails against the cold glass as if hoping to confirm what she felt. The silence around her seemed to grow heavier, thick with the promise that something extraordinary was about to reveal itself. In that moment, she didn't know if she actually wanted to find out, or if hiding from the truth would be safer after all. In the days that followed, Emily began observing the mirror with increasing scrutiny. At first, she noticed only minor inconsistencies. A pillow on the couch appeared in a different color. A book she had already put away was still present in the reflection, as if it had never left the table. Her unease grew while she tried to convince herself that these distortions were mere tricks of tired eyes or products of sleepless nights. Yet some nights seemed impossibly long, and the deep silence of the apartment continually drew her footsteps to the hallway, even when she'd rather avoid it. On one of those icy midnights, Emily saw something beyond the peculiar details, the unmistakable silhouette of a man seated at the edge of her bed, visible only in the mirror, though the room behind her remained empty. Her breath faltered, held by a mix of panic and intrigue, and she felt an overwhelming urge to flee, but was physically incapable of looking away. The stranger in the mirror didn't move. He simply sat there, as if he had been waiting for her to notice. When Emily finally summoned the courage to turn around, her bedroom was exactly as she'd left it, empty and still. Yet, when her gaze returned to the mirror, the mysterious figure remained unmoved, eerily steadfast. Determined to prove to herself that it was nothing but her imagination, Emily grabbed her phone and tried to document what she was seeing. But as she played back the recording, she saw only her own startled face and the quiet, cold, empty room behind her. No extra shadows, no signs of the unsettling presence that so deeply disturbed her. It was as if the mirror followed its own set of rules, revealing a world that couldn't be captured by ordinary means, but left enough clues to stir her mind and stoke her fears. Emily began to question her perceptions, yet she sensed deep down that she was being carried into an enigma she would not be able to ignore. On an especially silent night, when even the wind seemed to have deserted Maplewood, Emily sat on the edge of her bed, her gaze fixed on the silver-framed mirror dominating the hallway. There was a unique unrest in the air, as if the entire apartment's energy was pulled toward that object. Suddenly, the silhouette in the mirror began to move, rising slowly to its feet. For the first time, the figure met Emily's eyes directly, not just with its indistinct facial features, but with a gaze so weighty it felt as though it could pierce through the glass and touch her soul. Time seemed to slow. Emily realized she was transfixed, unable to break eye contact. Goosebumps prickled her skin as the man's figure in the mirror stepped closer, each movement calculated and eerily calm. At one point, the image stopped right behind her. For just a moment, Emily felt an inexplicable chill on the back of her neck, as if someone truly was there with her. The air in the room grew thick and frigid, and in a desperate act of bravery, she tried to scream, but no sound left her lips. Then something even stranger unfolded. A message slowly emerged on the fog surface of the glass, as if traced by an invisible finger. The words were clear: "You are not alone." The phrase echoed in her mind, first as a threatening warning, then as an unexpected encouragement to resist and to know herself. Right there before the mirror, Emily grasped that some mysteries must not be allowed to rule us. And no matter how frightening the unknown may be, it is in facing our fears that we discover the strength that inhabits the silence and the reflection within each of us. When Emily finally averted her gaze from the mirror, a quiet calm swept through her, replacing the intense cold that had haunted the previous nights. She realized that by confronting what she feared, she had unlocked a new understanding of her own inner strength. The old apartment no longer felt so menacing. Instead, it became a place of reinvention, where discoveries hid behind every door and, more mysteriously, within every reflection. The secret of the mirror had shown her that some answers do not need to be spoken. Sometimes they are simply felt and respected. Winter lingered in Maplewood, bringing more sleepless nights, but none like the one when Emily received that silent message from the other side of the glass. She remembered the deep, searching gaze of the figure, which continued to visit her from time to time, in the room's shadows or in dreams. Yet something important had shifted. She now walked through her home without hesitation, knowing she was neither alone nor abandoned. The unexplained phenomena, once a source of dread, became milestones in a quiet and invisible transformation. She felt changed, more alert to what is revealed even without explanation. Between courage and mystery, Emily learned how to listen to her own silences, and above all, how to view her reflection as more than just an image of the outside world, but as an invitation to confront the doubts and surprises of her own heart. And so, every day, standing before the mirror, she made the choice between fearing what she saw and finding strength in what was hidden, continuing her journey of self-discovery.